Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? So this video is going to be my very long awaited palette collection, but it is going to be coming in parts. So today I'm going to be doing my high-end collection of eyeshadows, and then coming up in the next few weeks will be a affordable one, which is going to be like drugstore and Morphe and ABH Cosmetics and ColourPop kind of palettes. And then last but not least, for eyeshadow palettes, I will have a completely dedicated indie brand, which is going to be like the longest video ever. And then I will also be doing a face palette one separately. So I hope you guys are excited for everything coming up, because I get asked to do this video so much. So I don't really want to do any disclaimers, but I will say really quickly that it's definitely not Amy likes makeup, Amy semi-enjoys makeup. It is Amy loves makeup. So that is my only justification for the amount of palettes that I will be showing you now today and in the future. So let's just go ahead and jump on in. So I organized these by brand, so I'm just going to go ahead and start off with Lime Crime. There is no rhyme or reason to which brand I'm going in order with, but I have 4 palettes from Lime Crime. So I have all 3 of their regular Venus palettes, which I actually got all of these half off, and then I used my Ulta points, so I got them all for free. And I have the first one here, let me pull it out, which is like really pretty warm tones, and I have not used this one yet. I'm going to say that for each one if I can't talk as much about it, because I do have some palettes I have not used yet, which is pretty shameful, but that's the reason I'm on a super low buy for 2019. And then I have the second one, which I have not used on my eyes yet, but this color story intrigues me so much, so I really need to. And then I have the Venus 3, which this is my baby. Like, if I lost all of my palettes, this is one of the ones that I would repurchase, because I use it very often and it's a go-to palette for me. So just looks like this. It's funny because I actually anti-hauled this and I love it so much. So my go-to look is I put this in the crease, this in the outer V, this all over the lid, this on the lower lash line, and then this in the inner corner. If you guys would like to see a video on that, I can do it, but I just love this, and I feel like the shadows look so much more vibrant outside of the pans. For some reason they don't look as pretty, but when they're on the eyes, they are everything. So I love this palette. And then I have the Venus XL, which I wanted so bad, and I thought that this was going to be my perfect palette, and I have used this a good amount. I took it on a vacation last year, and I like the matte shades and the matte formula, but I feel like the shimmers in here are pretty lackluster, and I don't know if I would say it was worth the price tag. I definitely want to use it more and pull this back out, but it's not as loved as I want it to be, because I feel like the shimmers are like, they're more like satin shades with a little bit of sparkle in them, rather than the kind of metallic white shades that I like. Alright, next I have 2 palettes from Kylie Cosmetics, and one is the Burgundy palette, which this is very much like modern Renaissance vibes, and I haven't used this in a while, but when I first got it I really liked it, and I thought that it was enjoyable to use. It's definitely like my kind of neutrals. And then I also have the Holiday palette, and I think this was from 2016. Yes, it was, because I got it the holiday year that my son was born. So this is what it looks like, and I love the color scheme of this palette. I feel like it's so unique and ahead of its time, and it's like grungy, cool tones. It would like this, like the pop, like the deep green, the deep purple, and I just love this, and I wish that it wasn't limited edition. So this is one of my favorite color stories that Kylie Cosmetics has came out with. She's had a bunch more that I've liked, but these are the only 2 I ended up purchasing. I only have one palette from Pure, and this is the Midnight Masquerade palette, which I got in a BoxyCharm, which had a little bit of face product and then some eyeshadows. And this was actually like a pleasant surprise from BoxyCharm, because these eyeshadows are actually really good. I feel like they worked really well for me. The metallics were super stunning, so I do like this palette. Next, I have 2 palettes from Viseart, and I got these for a better deal than you would think, because if you buy them from the Muse Beauty Pro site, you get both palettes for a deal, and then you get 3 Eise brushes free, and the Eise brushes are actually really good, so I think it's worth it to buy from them. So I have the Neutral Mattes palette, which is good, and then I have the Editorial Mattes, which is my favorite. So overall the formula is the same for both of these. They're super blendable, super pigmented, easy to work with, buildable, and I just like them a lot, and I find them to be good shadows. The thing is though is that they are really expensive, so that kind of holds me back from buying more from Viseart, even though that there has been a few other of their matte shadows that have definitely pulled me in and spoken to me. This one I don't use quite as much, but I have done so many looks with this palette, and I always love how they turn out. I've never been disappointed. So this is one of my favorite like rainbow palettes, because it's just really good. The shades are all very vibrant, so I find myself reaching for this a lot more than many other matte rainbow type palettes that I have. Alright, next I have the Stila In The Light palette, and this is the only Stila palette that I've ever owned, and it's just super, super neutral, and my favorite shade in here is definitely Kitten. It's really beautiful, but this is more of a sentimental palette to me because this was the only giveaway I've ever won, and it was from April, Won a Makeup here on YouTube, and if you're not subscribed to her, you definitely should be. I'll make sure to leave her channel down below. She did a giveaway literally years ago, and I won this, and it's just kind of cool because I consider her a friend now. We've collabed, and I just find her to be such a genuine, amazing person, so it's so cool to me that, I don't know, I got this palette from her so long ago, and it makes me happy to have, even though these aren't really my colors anymore. Not the way that they used to be, but like I said, it's kind of sentimental. Alright, next I have two palettes from Tarte Cosmetics, and one is the Maneater palette, and I feel like I used to consider this like my perfect neutral palette, and here is what it looks like. I think they redid this and they like changed this into 2 shades, but I kind of like it like this, like it's a nice highlighter, and then all of your just regular neutral shades. I don't reach for this very often. I did use it once a few months ago, and I mean, the shadows work good for me. It's just, this is not my color scheme anymore. I think it's kind of funny. I think you'll notice as I go through my high-end collection, a lot of these palettes are older. Most of them are neutral. Most of them I don't use as often. But then whenever I do, like, especially my indie collection, you're going to see like that change in what I like to buy as makeup and the colors that I wear, because my indie collection is so colorful, and almost all of my high-end palettes are very neutral. The other Tarte palette that I have is the Tarte Pro palette, which I really want to pull this one back out and use it more, because for some reason I thought this was super boring, but I'm looking at it in the pans and I feel like this here, gosh, I hate packaging like this when I have a ring light. This first row is just like your average warm look, and then this row is like so purpley and pretty, and like this gray purple shade is beautiful, and then this row is like a nice warm deep rosy red tones, whatever, and then this is a neutral row with a pop of blue, and I just feel like I really like the way this looks, and I definitely want to use it more. It's been a while since I used it. I did take the Tarte name off of some of these shadows, so I did love it for a bit, but it just kind of got shoved to the back of my collection. Okay, next I have 4 palettes from Anasazi Beverly Hills, and the first one that I ever got was the Amrezy palette, which just looks like this. I was and still continue to be a Reezy rider, so I wanted this palette so bad. I'll show you what it looks like. It's definitely not that loved, just because I didn't want to use it because it was limited edition. I feel like it's so stupid. I should have used it more. And now the shadows are super old, so it's definitely more of like a, you know, I literally just forgot the word. Starts with an S. I literally just said it. It's definitely more of a sentimental thing now, but this has a funny story to it, because I remember the year that this came out, my mom gave me $100 to go school shopping, and that was my budget for like buying any clothes that I needed or whatever it was. And I was like, Mom, can we stop at Ulta? And she let me go in by myself, and I spent $30 of my $100 clothes budget on this palette, because that's when the Anasazi palettes used to be $29 each, which the price was right, and now they're like $45. So yeah, I think that's funny, and it kind of shows my preferences, like makeup over clothes any day. The next palette that I got is the Modern Renaissance, and I love this from first sight. I feel like it was just the first super pinky red neutral palette, and those are my tones. I feel like they bring out the green in my eyes so much. So here's what my Modern Renaissance palette looks like. Obviously it's very loved. I did a project pan on this, and I really enjoy this palette. And then I ended up buying the Soft Glam and the Norvina at the same time. I wasn't planning on purchasing these 2 palettes, but my friend works at Ulta and she had a really amazing discount, and I couldn't say no. So the Soft Glam, I feel like, is the perfect neutral palette. Perfect. Like, it is just, it's like, I'm not even that much into neutrals anymore, and this palette just makes me happy to look at. Like, I feel like it's so nice. I love the formula of this. The mattes are so easy to blend. This is what I keep in my everyday makeup bag right now. I was so excited to have Orange Soda, because I feel like that was like an iconic original Anastasia color, and even like there's 3 different shades of gold in here, but I think that they're actually all really pretty, and I feel like the shimmer formula in here is really good. It doesn't have too much fallout. The mattes are all true mattes, so I like this a lot. And then the other one, Norvina, I like the color scheme of this. I would say like a playful neutral palette. It's looking a little dirty because my son got a hold of it. I think I'm disappointed by this palette a little bit because a lot of the mattes have a little bit of sheen in them, which isn't my favorite. I mean, I can still work with it and it's fine, and I've done pretty looks, and I want to do some looks on my channel with it. But I think like the shimmers too are beautiful, and I love the different tones, but they have a lot of fallout. So with this palette in particular, I feel like I always have to do my eyes first. I don't feel like that with the Soft Glam palette. I also have two palettes from L'Oreal Cosmetics. It's the original Pro and then the Pro 2, and they actually both have broken mirrors, which is kind of funny, but this is a very, very loved palette. I used this palette like every single day in high school, and all of these pans have dips in them, so I feel like if I use this palette for like a week, I would have hit pan on it. I really loved this, and I feel like the formula of this is definitely the kind of eyeshadow formula I look for. Very soft, a little bit of kickback, super easy to blend, super pigmented. So I loved these, and I don't really reach for them anymore because it's just not my colors. But I think that Loreal does have good shadows. I don't know if they're cruelty-free. There's kind of been some like debates going back and forth on whether they are or not. And then here is the Pro 2, which also, I don't know if you could tell, has been loved. It has a lot of dips in it. When I was in color guard in high school, there was one year when every single Friday night our required makeup was a smoky eye, so like a gray in the crease, a black in the outer V, and then a silver all over the lid. So I used these three shades so much, and I also did other people's makeup a lot with these, which actually, come to think of it, I don't think I ever, like, I did people's makeup, but I didn't know what sanitizing was, and I never sprayed it down with alcohol or anything, so that's kind of nasty now that I think about it, but I'd never reach for this anymore. I have three palettes from Too Faced. The first one that I got is Sentimental. It is the chocolate bar, and my aunt got me this for Christmas one year. It makes a horrible sound because I broke it, and I feel like I cannot talk about this palette and not talk about that horrible sound. But this is what it looks like, and it is a very, very, very neutral palette. I used to love these two shimmer shades right here. Those were like my everything, but I never reach for this anymore because it's just not my shades. And then I got the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette, which I thought I loved this one when I first got it. I was like, this is gonna be my everything. I'm gonna use it every single day. And then I didn't. The smell on this is so strong still, like 3 years later. Like, it's crazy how strong the smell on this one is. And I liked the formula, but I never reach for this. And even when I try to, like when I look at it, I just do not feel inspired at all. So maybe I should like look up some tutorials or something to do with this palette, because I feel like the outside is so beautiful and then the inside, it just feels like, I don't know, I don't love it. And then the Too Faced palette that I own that I do love and still use is the Just Peachy Mattes palette, which was slightly more of a recent release, and I love the packaging on this. I think it's so cute. And then it is just all matte shades, and I think that these shades work really well together. I'm just kind of a sucker for like all matte warm tones. So I like this, and I like the formula. Alright, now let's talk Urban Decay. So I did have the Naked original palette, but I'm decluttering it, so I didn't feel like including it because I just never used that. I had the Naked 2 palette, and I bought it full price on Amazon, and then like a year later I found out that it was a fake, and I was so mad because that was my first palette I ever, like high-end palette I ever got, and it was a fake. So that's why I have trust issues. Okay, so the next one that I got after that was the Naked 3 palette, which was kind of sentimental as well because my mom got it for me for Christmas one year, and I remember like every time the pre-order or whatever was available, I would like send her the links. I'd be like, please hurry, and she would like, it sold out like 3 times before she was able to get it for me for Christmas. But I loved this. Like, I feel like you can tell that I loved this particular shade right here. And again, it's something I never reach for anymore. I don't know, it's kind of funny looking at old things because I'm like, why did I want that? Like, it's so bland. But I guess it just kind of shows how style changes over time, which is probably one of the reasons why I hold on to all this, because maybe one day I'll sit down and think like, I don't want to wear colorful eyeshadow anymore. I doubt it, but maybe. And then next I got the Smokey palette, which I got half price, and I love the packaging upgrade on this one. Here's what it looks like. It doesn't look that loved, but I do really like this. Whenever I want to do a cool toned eye, this is what I go for, but I don't want to do a cool toned eye that often. So it's here when I need it, and I got a good deal on it. And then, oh wait, I think I got this one before the electric. I think I got this one before the Smoky. I had the electric palette, which was my first like high-end colorful palette, and I felt so awesome when I bought this. It stained my eyes like crazy. I did so many looks with this, practicing cut creases and everything forever ago. This is what I spent like babysitting money on, was always makeup and palettes and eyeshadow, and that was my favorite thing to buy. And this, it's definitely old. I did a look a few months ago doing like a throwback, like a mixture of trying new things and going back to super old things. So I still love it. I'm still glad to have it in my collection, and I feel like this was definitely part of my inspiration of starting to love colors. And I am just waiting for Urban Decay to release an electric too. And if they don't do it right, I'm going to be so mad. Actually, I think this might have been before all the other ones I just talked about. I got the Naked Basics palette, which I think that this is such an underrated palette. Let me open it up. You can see I did hit pan. Dang it. I know I'm going to have to clean that up. Okay, so that black is breaking. But you can see I did hit pan on one of the shades, and I do really like this palette. I feel like this is honestly kind of iconic, and like nobody cares about this palette anymore, but people always see palettes and they complain like, oh, it doesn't have like a matte highlighting shade, it doesn't have a shimmer shade, like a shimmer highlighting shade, it doesn't have a black, it doesn't have a transition color. And I'm like, buy this and you'll be set for life no matter what palette you have. Like, this could make any palette your perfect palette. I feel like the other ones that they came out with after this, I felt like were a little bit like not as necessary, but I still think that this is a really good palette to pair with other palettes, especially if you don't have the kind of collection that I have, and you have, if you're more minimalistic, I feel like this could have like a good spot. Like, it has a good job. And there's black eyeshadow all over me. Next, I got the Naked Heat palette, which is probably my favorite Naked palette. Just looks like this, and it is the perfect warm palette. I've used this a ton. It doesn't look that used, but I feel like these are super pigmented, easy to blend. They just work for me, and I definitely reach for this palette a lot more than most of the other palettes that I own, so I do love that one. And then last but not least, I have the Naked Cherry palette, which I got for an amazing deal. I wasn't going to buy it, but Ulta had a great points thing, and I think I ended up paying like 27 cents for this palette, so I was like, you literally can't beat that. But I haven't used it yet. I've only swatched it. I wanted to do like a first impression, which is why I have not used it yet. I was super impressed by the swatches, actually. I thought it looked really beautiful, and Urban Decay shadows just work for me, so that's why I ended up getting this. Even though it was not what I wanted it to be exactly, I still thought it is a pretty color scheme, so hopefully I play with that soon. Okay, so next I have a few different palettes from Natasha and Noda. The first ones that I got were from her holiday collection, which just looks like these. I think these were last year's holiday collection, and I really enjoyed these. I feel like the mattes are super creamy and the metallics are just beautiful. This is Aeries, which I like that one, but this one, Joya, was like my go-to for a hot minute, and these shades are just beautiful and the metallics are just everything. I feel like this is really great to pair with another palette, because same with this, it's only one matte shade in each, but you cannot beat the Natasha Denona shimmer formula. So I did really like these both, and I should use them more. They were definitely like one of the few limited edition items I was like, I really want that, because I'm kind of over limited edition, but I love these and I'm glad to have them just for my personal use. And then I also have the Sunset Mini palette, which I bought right before I stopped really wearing neutrals, so I've not used this like at all, except for like maybe like 3 times. And it was definitely a waste of money for me to buy. I think it's okay. It's good shadows, but it's just not as good as the rest of her quality. And I liked this when I first got it. And I thought it was good, but honestly, for the price and for the amount of product you get, I just don't think it's worth it. And then last but not least, from Natasha and Noda, I have the Blue Purple palette, which is my favorite. I got this in a Beautylish Lucky Bag, and I literally screamed when I opened it and saw that this was in there. So I did get this for like way less than what it retails for. Like, this is crazy. I would never buy this full price ever, but here's what it looks like, and I love the color scheme, all the blues, all the purples. I use this quite a bit off camera, and I love the metallic formula. It is so good. It's my favorite. It just looks wet and blinding, and it's everything. It's definitely the reason why people justify the price tag of Natasha shadows. The mattes are fine. They work good. I've made plenty of beautiful looks out of them, but the shimmers are just definitely where it's at, and I love this palette so much. Okay, so I am going to mention a few brands that I think are indie, but I figured I would mention them with the high end just because they are a high-end price tag, and because I have so many indie palettes to talk about, I wanted to make it a little bit more even. So first off, I'm going to talk about Violet Voss. I have 3 palettes from Violet Voss, and the first one is the Ride or Die palette, which is beautiful, holographic. I loved this when I first got it, and if you like neutrals, this is pretty much every neutral shadow you could possibly want. Warm tones, cool tones, you're completely covered. I was drawn to this, and it is a humongous palette, but I think the reason why I was sold is because this shade here literally speaks to me. Like, this is my kind of color 100%, and it is the shade Amy. So that sold me on the palette. Really great marketing. So I really like this. I like the formula. I feel like the mattes are easy to blend. The shimmers are really metallic and beautiful. There are some that are like more metallic and pretty than others. Like there's like different formulas throughout. But I think that this is a beautiful palette, and I'm glad that I own it. And then I have the Rainbow palette, which I have not used yet. I got it for a good price on Black Friday. I swatched it and it looks really, really nice. So there's what it is. I'm going to use it soon, I promise. And then the Flamingo palette, which I also got on Black Friday, and I've only swatched, but these shades are very like spring, summery, and I feel like I'll definitely use this a lot more then. And like the packaging is so cute with the little flamingos, so I like the idea of that. I don't know if I can say I like the quality yet. Next, I have 2 palettes from Dominique Cosmetics, which I'm just going to mention really quickly because I have a lot of thoughts on them and I want to do a dedicated review video. So this is the Lemonade palette. I love the packaging on this, and here is what it looks like. So I do have like a first impression up on my channel on this, and I've used it more since then, and like I said, I have my thoughts, I have my opinions, so I will do a video so fully soon talking about this palette and what I think. But I think that the color scheme is really beautiful, and the packaging, love it. And then I have the Berries and Cream palette, which I brought for vacation for Christmas, and I use this a lot. Like I've used this like 20 times, so I feel like I've got pretty good feelings on it. And I have a lot to say, so just wanted to show you the color scheme real quick. Moving on. Okay, I think you're going to be able to tell that this eyeshadow formula is one of my absolute favorites. So these are all of my Dose of Colors palettes, so definitely quite a few here. The first one that I ever got was the Hidden Treasures palette, and I think this is the first Dose of Colors thing I ever tried. And I know a lot of people are annoyed with the eyeshadow layout, but the formula is so good. All of these shades are so metallic, and the mattes are so easy to blend, so pigmented, and I really enjoy this palette to this day. Again, a super nice neutral palette if you love a super metallic eyelid. Like, I love this for that. So one of my favorites. And then I think after that wait, let me see. Okay, I think yes. Okay, no. Okay, I got it. So after that, the Baked Browns palette and the Marvelous Mauves came out at the same time, and I bought both of these, and I love both of them. There's the Baked Browns. These are super soft shadows. They have a lot of kickback, but they blend so nice. This Marvelous Mauves is such a nice mauve palette. I love that one. And then they also released the Desi and Katie quad, this first one here, which looks like this. And I definitely don't reach for this anywhere as much as I should. It is beautiful. It does have some really reflective pigments, and I need to remember to use this more. I really do. And the packaging is everything. And then they released the, oh gosh, the Sassy Sienas and the Blushing Berries palettes, which I love both of these as well. I actually have the Sassy Sienas on just a little bit in my crease today, just the coral shade. So there's Sassy Sienas, one of my faves. Okay, and then Blushing Berries is so good, so yummy. Like, look at that. Like, that is the perfect berry smoky eye. Like, I love it. And then after that, they released the Friendcation palette, which I got more recently and I have not used yet, and I want to do a first impression on it. So again, packaging is, oh my gosh, that is literally everything. I haven't looked at it on camera yet. So I haven't even swatched these yet. I'm like crazy. This is what it looks like. It is stunning. Like, this shade in particular is everything. It is such a beautiful purple blue duochrome. Like, on camera it looks bright blue, but when I look at it, it looks bright purple. Wait, let me see if I can do the mirror trick. Yep, there you go. You see that? The purple and the blue. hopefully. So I think that this is stunning and I'm excited to use it, and I think I got it for like $20, so like more than half off, which is why I ended up buying it. And I also really like this kind of formula if it's the same as the Block Party eyeshadows, which I've heard it is. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited whenever I finally end up using it. And then last but not least, the more recent release, they did do a cool tone palette, but I didn't pick up that one. But I got the Snow Angels palette, which I don't know if I ever even ended up using on my channel, but I have used it several times by itself, like not by itself, by myself. And again, same great, amazing formula. Love the color scheme of this. It's not as monochromatic, but I think it's super fun, and I love this navy blue. Like, it's such a good navy blue because it's one of those shades that you can blend it out and build it up and it still looks blue. It doesn't turn into a gray, it doesn't turn into a black. You can still see the blue, and I find it super easy to work with, super easy to blend out. So that's one of my favorite blue eyeshadows. So I was very happy to have this. I think it was limited edition. I'm just not sure if it's still available. And Dose of Colors does have other palettes I've been interested in, like the I Love Sarai palette, but I told myself no. I didn't need it. But I was definitely tempted by that one. Alright, so that is all of my high-end palettes. I hope you enjoyed the video. I wanted to ask if there is any palette in particular that you saw today that you would like to see more on my channel. Please feel free to comment it down below. And if you're scrolling through the comments and you see someone commented one that you would like to see, make sure to like it. That way I can see what you all want to see the most, because I want to focus more on what I already have, because I have a lot. I have some amazing palettes that I need to use more, so if there's anything you're intrigued by, let me know. And that's everything, so I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.